Britain went into mourning on September 9, a day after the Queen passed away. In a televised address, the new King Charles paid a heartfelt tribute to his mother.
To my darling Mama, as you begin your last great journey, thank you for your love and devotion to our family and to the family of nations you have served so diligently all these years.
Soon after, on September 10, a new king is proclaimed in St. James's Palace. The Ascension Council formalized Charles's position as king. Camilla became the Queen Consort and William the new Prince of Wales. And soon after, the Queen's coffin journeyed from Balmoral to Edinburgh. The vigil of the princes at St. Giles's Cathedral in Edinburgh marked the first time the tradition took place since 2002. In fact, Princess Anne made history as the first female royal to take part in the vigil of the princes. The Queen's coffin finally arrived in London on September 13. Britain's outpouring of grief has been marked by thousands of teary-eyed people queuing up to pay their last respects.
The Queen's been my boss. I'm ex-military, so the Queen's been my boss for 22 years. And I'm looking forward to this moment. It's very important to me.
She has done great service to the country. It was just an honour and privilege to be here to pay tribute to her.
The scenario that it is, and it's quite sad. Yeah, we've expected it, but it's still sad.
And just last week, warring brothers William and Harry reunited along with their wives Kate and Meghan. The two couples were spotted greeting well-wishers. This as they inspected floral tributes to the Queen left at the gates of Windsor Castle. The coffin is now lying in state in London's Westminster Hall. Draped in the Royal Standard with a crown placed on top, it will remain here till the funeral. All eyes are now on the Queen's state funeral, all set to take place on Monday. One that will be attended by leaders and dignitaries from the UK and around the world. US President Joe Biden has confirmed his attendance, as has Indian President Draupadi Murmu, French President Emmanuel Macron, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. But what's making news is the list of leaders who've been given a miss. Russian President Vladimir Putin has not been invited, nor have representatives from Afghanistan, Belarus, Myanmar, Syria or Venezuela. Interestingly, UK's politicians have criticized the decision to invite Chinese President Xi Jinping, while Xi is not likely to attend. Reports suggest China's Vice President Wang Qishan plans to come. All this for the biggest gathering of royalty hosted in the UK in decades, as the Queen marks her final journey to Windsor Castle's St. George's Chapel.
The arrival of so many heads of state and government, about 500 foreign leaders and dignitaries, is about more than mourning. It's more than some somber nods among leaders at the funeral service due at Westminster Abbey here. A parallel political protocol has been set up with several of them. The selection of leaders for these talks itself is a political story. President Biden has been invited to Downing Street for talks with Prime Minister Truss on the eve of the funeral. Truss will look to firm up that special US-UK relationship that's been a bit wobbly over Northern Ireland, and she will hold talks with Irish Taoiseach, as the Prime Minister of Ireland is called, because Ireland is now a critical issue for post-Brexit Britain. Polish President Duda will be among the few leaders invited for talks at Downing Street. Poland is now critical for Ukraine. Zelensky himself may spring a surprise, who knows. And Truss will hold talks with the Prime Ministers of Australia, New Zealand and Canada, whose head of state is the British monarch. Putin, of course, won't be there, nor the Taliban leaders, nor anyone from North Korea. the Chinese are typically playing it quiet and playing it late after a Chinese delegation was refused permission to attend the lying-in state. But a senior Chinese leader is expected to attend.
The monarchy is a complicated thing in the UK. Of course, many people, increasingly young people, don't like the idea of a monarch. But the monarchy serves more than just sort of cultural marker or a figurehead in the United Kingdom. Please remember that the institution of monarchy brings in tens of millions of dollars in tourism revenues and other revenues to the United Kingdom every year. Millions of people gather to experience and see the sort of vestiges of monarchy in that country. And it's a huge tourism revenue earner for the country, which is at the moment even more vital after Brexit. I think the Commonwealth needs to be reimagined as a genuine collaboration between nations, without this idea that the Commonwealth always has to be headed by the UK in a sense. I think, in fact, today it is India which is the rightful leader of the Commonwealth. It has an economy larger than the UK. It is certainly a world power. It has a huge workforce. It has a huge population. It is technologically at par with some of the best in the world. It has a huge standing army. So, this idea of the Commonwealth in many countries, in Australia and other places, they are rethinking or beginning to rethink whether this figurehead of the Queen or the King of England in their state is required at all.